Hey, welcome back to the virtual Y. Chance here with today's Friday meditation and mindfulness practice. So, oftentimes people are say, I can't meditate, I don't meditate, I'm no good at meditating. It's like I can't clear my mind, my brain never shuts up. I've heard all of that. And let me just inform you that as someone that practices meditation often, I agree with the sentiment that you can't get your mind to calm down. It seems like it's busy. It seems like a challenge to just focus and sit still. And I want to reassure you that that is the practice. It is very challenging, especially if you don't have a lot of practice meditating, to just be still, to watch your mind move without judging it as wrong or right, and then also to not feel like you have to chase your thoughts around. I find that meditation is much more about coming back, remembering to let go of the thoughts, no matter how many times that takes. It could be, 10 thoughts every second that you have to let go of, or that you're working to let go of. And that's okay. It's okay that we have a busy mind. We have a lot of practice in this space where our mind goes from thought to thought to thought, and there's a narrator in our head always talking, sometimes a couple narrators in our head, conversing or arguing. And that is absolutely normal. The practice is to let go of the voice in the head and become the listener. Instead of identifying with the thoughts, which are the routine movements of the mind, we instead identify with the listener, which is what some would say your pure consciousness, your observer, rather than your narrator. So maybe that's confusing to you, but we're just going to try it out. To step out of the voice of the mind, we want to step into the messages from the body. So we want to pay our attention in the present moment, inward, to this place where we have all types of sensation, of input, of stuff to pay attention to. So for this practice, I'd love if you find a comfortable seat. I'm sitting on a yoga block, or, maybe you want a cushion or a pillow, or maybe you're sitting in a chair or on a couch or wherever you're at. But whatever you're doing, try to sit up tall. So if you're on a couch or a chair, place your feet on the ground and try to sit up so that your back is not leaning against anything. So we're strengthening the spine. And if none of those sitting options are comfortable for you, you can lay down flat on the ground. Maybe you put a pillow or a cushion underneath your knees to elevate your legs a little bit. That might give a little support to your low back. But you don't want a big cushy pillow or cushion underneath your neck, because that's gonna kind of crank your neck and kind of kink it a little bit. We want our neck long and in line with our spine. And we want to just be able to be comfortably still for a while. But if stillness, if any time you need to move or readjust, that's okay. Meditation is about observing without judgment. And that's a really big challenge sometimes. So trust your body. And remember, it's about restarting. It's about finding yourself present again and again. So once we're seated or laying, spine long, shoulders relaxed, the first thing we're going to notice is, where does our body contact the ground or the seat? Excuse me. When you feel where your body is contacting the gravity holding you down, try to distribute that weight equally. Maybe you rock a little from left to right if you're seated. And notice if it feels, symmetrical or asymmetrical down in your low back and your hips. And then notice your shoulders. We don't want our shoulders rolled forward. That closes off the heart. Instead, we want to draw the shoulders slightly back, not way back. We don't need to be pulling our shoulders super far back, but just so they're in line with the spine. If you were to look at, a profile or look at you from the side, maybe you'd see those shoulders lining up with the spine. Now we want to notice our head. Can we hold the middle top of our head directly over where we feel our tailbone is? So maybe you rock a little from front to back. Maybe you slightly roll your tailbone forward and under by leaning the pelvis forward. Maybe you tuck your chin a little bit and just reposition your head. All of these things where you're noticing the details of your body, that is mindfulness. That is awareness of the present moment. So you're doing it, even if your mind is still busy, even if you feel a little uncomfortable, all of that is okay. A little discomfort is fine, but we don't want any pain or extreme discomfort. If you find any of that, adjust in a way that relieves that pain. But if it's a little bit of discomfort, just sit with it, explore it. So now the spine is long. We're holding gravity very intentionally. Our attention is inward to the body. We might notice that busy mind still talking to us about, what we're going to do for lunch, or what we had for breakfast, or what we had for breakfast 2 weeks ago, or, some TV show we watched 2 years ago. The mind goes all over the place. But whatever you notice, recognize that you can let it go and bring your attention back to how is the body in the present moment. So gravity and the spinal alignment is one anchor or focus that you can keep coming back to no matter what distracts the mind. You can let it go and come back to that spine and gravity. Now, another tool we're going to use is one of my favorite tools, the breath, a powerful system of the body that cues all the other systems of the body and really shapes your experience. And it's also one of those things that you can either pay no attention to, which that's pretty much all day, we're not really thinking about how we're breathing, or you can pay all of your attention to how you're breathing. So the first thing I want to do is just point you inward to notice, how is the breath in this moment? Is it shallow? Is it through the nose or through the mouth? Is it hard to find? Where does it show up? And when you just notice what the breath is without changing it, you'll probably notice that it's pretty shallow. There's not much to it. You might feel it in the middle of the chest or in the back of the throat, but otherwise it's kind of hard to pinpoint. So we're going to change the breath into something that's very easy or easier to focus on and come back to. So we're going to breathe in through the nose. Imagine in your mind's eye, or feel it in your body, the breath coming in through the nose and down the spine all the way to the tailbone. Allow your belly to expand as we fill all the way down as low as we can, and then all the way up as high as we can in the lungs. And once you fill the lungs, we're going to exhale smoothly and steadily, without forcing or rushing, and just notice, what sensations do you feel? Is it hard to breathe out slowly? And once your exhale ends, the inhale begins. Smoothly in through the nose, we follow it down to the base of the spine. We expand the lungs from the bottom to the top, and then we exhale, deflating the lungs from all sides equally. And this is challenging. If you find it really easy to focus on the breath, excellent. No matter what comes to mind, whether it's a thought from the past or a thought about the future, the near future or the distant future, the near past or the distant past, we keep coming back to the breath. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not thinking about emails right now. I'm not worried about my to-do list right now. I'm just observing the body. And you can keep on just coming back to the breath, because you might notice the breath just goes back to shallow and hard to locate. But you can keep on coming back to this idea of in through the nose, expanding the low lungs, then the upper lungs, and smooth, steady exhales. Now the power of the breath is probably already showing you where your body might be a little stiff, a little sore. You might feel a little discomfort in the shoulders, the neck, the face, the hips. And you can always adjust how you're sitting or laying to find yourself comfortable again. But as soon as you do, bring all of that attention back to the breath. The breath fills the lungs from the bottom to the top. Smooth and steady out. Letting the lungs deflate, but not deflating the spine. It might be a tendency to breathe out and let your spine go like this. But we don't want to do that. We want to keep the spine the same all the time. So just the lungs are moving around the spine. It reveals the spaces between the ribs, along the spine, the belly, the neck, shoulders, and jaw, where we hold a lot of this tension. And it's okay to experience a little discomfort, because through that discomfort, you can observe how it changes. It might become a little less intense, a little more spacious, a little more expansive. And this is enough to take our mind, at least moment by moment, out of that routine loop of thought. One thought leads to another thought, leads to another thought, leads to another thought. Instead of that, we notice ourselves on a thought and we let it go, bringing our attention just back to how we're breathing and how we're feeling when we do so. You could get distracted 10 times every 10 seconds. That's totally normal, and that's okay. You don't need to say, I'm no good at this, I can't do it. Just feel what it's like to continuously come back. This is an active process. And oftentimes we like to just judge ourselves and say, hey, that's really uncomfortable, so I'm never going to do it again. That's not for me. I've never been good at it. I'll never be good at it. But that's just the mind in the routine thoughts. And the more you step out of those, you realize this vast opportunity or possibility to move from this moment into any possible way of feeling, and any possible action or course of events. Because when we step outside of our routine, we step in to the power of possibility. And while this might seem like it's not doing anything for you, or maybe it is, maybe you feel the pressure melting off your spine, off your shoulders, out of your face. Maybe you're finding little pockets where the mind is quiet for a moment or two, and you can really notice it working. And if you don't notice anything happening, that's okay too, because it's an exercise that we are stepping out of these well-trodden, these well-walked paths, and we're kind of stepping into the wild. We're stepping into the unfamiliar, the uncomfortable. And it's a challenge that not all of us are used to. So invite that challenge and know that even if you can't feel anything good coming from this, your brain is exercising and creating new neural pathways, new neurons, new synapses, new ways to observe your body, new ways to observe and experience the present moment. And it takes reps. It takes like any exercise. But all we're doing is continuously coming back to the present moment, how the breath comes and goes, and how it makes our body feel. So for these last maybe minute, 2 minutes, I'm going to be quiet. And if you find the voice in your head just gets so busy that you forget about the breath, maybe try counting just to 3 or 4 on your inhale, and 3 or 4 on your exhale. So So for the next minute, you're just counting to 3 or 4 again and again. Notice where you can lengthen your spine, soften any tension, and accept the possibility of this present moment. From where we are now allows infinite opportunities or options moving forward, not just the familiar routine. If you've gotten distracted, that's okay. If you've gotten distracted many times, that's okay. We keep coming back to the simplicity of observing this moment without narrator, without judgment of, I'm doing it wrong, I'm doing it right, this is working, this is going good, this is going bad. Skip all those thoughts because those thoughts are unimportant. What is important is noticing how you feel. This observation is the exercise. And for this last minute, just see if you can make your breaths bigger than the whole rest of the practice. Let these last minute of breaths be the biggest ones yet, without straining, but just gently inviting more space into the low lungs, into the upper lungs. And a smooth, steady exhale. Maybe you let that counting extend to maybe a count of 5 or 6, whatever feels good for you. As long as you're observing how you feel in this moment, you're doing it right. And when you notice that your mind has wandered elsewhere, as it will, all you have to do is come back again and again. It's how we get our reps. And like any exercise with practice, our body and mind are transforming. Know that you can continue this practice for as long as you'd like. And you can find yourself starting this practice, even if it's just for a minute. Anytime during your day when you're feeling scattered, when you're feeling stressed or hurried, or like there's just too much on your plate, take a minute, take 2 minutes to notice your spine and how you're holding gravity, and notice your breath to find the fullness of the lungs. Just try it out and try to do it often, because the more you practice, the easier it becomes and more things remind you to remember the present moment. Thanks for tuning in today to the Virtual Why. I'm Chance. You can, with a Y membership, observe up to 40 live streams a week. I also teach a chair yoga class for the Virtual Y. We have a bunch of great teachers. And you can also sign up for just a Virtual Y membership if you don't, if you're not someone that see yourself going to a Y. You can sign up to this, all these live streams and a vast library of practices that you can watch on demand. Thanks so much once again. Have a great weekend. Take care.